have information about Nigeria, what is happening, the day-to-day activities of those who put at the front of affairs. That is our leaders, who sometimes call Nigerian politicians, because of course, in one way or the other, the decisions they make affect so we have to know because when something affects you, maybe negatively or positively, you need to know what is going on. There are some news you will see in the front page of daily newspapers or even in all news. You will see some news that then you like, what is this? What is happening? I somehow do not understand this one. And that is why we have the ultimate newspaper review show right here at IQ 80.7 FM Ibadan. This is where we get to talk about the stories making the rounds, analysis, the in-depth analysis, which is also unbiased, to let you understand better what the stories are actually saying. My name is Wuraola Yusuff, and it's another great morning right here with, of course, MAESTRO in the studio. I'll be starting from the Daily Trust newspaper right here. Here we have the news that the do not seem afflicting because I have this news on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, which is also there on the front page of a couple of other newspapers, and it is about nothing other than hardship in the country, other than the situation of the economy in Nigeria. Starting from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, page 4 says the PDP governors are worried over hardship in its management of the economy. A couple of writers to that. The first one says, frown at government's inability to resolve wage crisis. Another one says, local government autonomy assured on the road. The third one says, we will respond appropriately. And that one is coming from the APC. Alright, moving on to other stories right now. We have the story saying Tinubu seeks the National Assembly's approval to raise 2024 budget by 6.2 billion naira. Alright, apologies about the sound. I hope it's better now. Please let me know if it is better. And that is on the Facebook page. Mr. Shaladonya Adetitu, please, I'd like your answer to that. Let me know. Alright, now moving on to page 14 of the Daily Trust newspaper. UI student protest fees hike, rationed electricity. That one happened right here in Ibadan yesterday. 250 repatriated Nigerians returning from UAE. That one is the news coming from NICOM, and it is on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Of course, you can get the details of that story inside the Daily Trust newspaper. Mr. Shaladonya Adesisu and Mr. Alex Olajide, thank you so much. NEF condemns eviction order issued Northerners in Delta. Another story says the Senate sacks Ndume as a chief whip. Expert decries attack on free speech. A fire kills a Kano commissioner's daughter. 2 others. That one is quite a sad story on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. IOCs are selling crude at $4 per barrel above market price. That one is coming from Dangote again. All right, now moving on to the front page of the Punch newspaper. On page 31, Tinubu seeks extra 6 trillion naira as 2024 budget hits 34.9 trillion naira. Page 31. On page 32, federal government gets over $751 million World Bank loan. Page 32. The Punch newspaper has details to that story. PDP governors ask a federal government to fast track minimum wage talks. Page 16. On page 12 of the Punch newspaper, today's Senate sacks Ndume as chief whip over anti-Tinubu comments. On page 2, IOCs are still causing crude supply crisis. IOCs are still causing crude supply crisis. Dangote refinery cries out. To write us that story, the first one says, IOCs referring us to international trading arms for crude purchase, says Dangote refinery. Another writer says the firms still pushing for dollar payment, says Koran flays a middleman for hijacking supply. North tops applicants list as federal government disposes a student loan. And moving on to page 12 of the Punch newspaper, over 600,000 Nigerians sought asylum abroad under Buhari. And that is a report in the Punch newspaper today. The details of that can be read on page 12 of the Punch newspaper today. UI students protest 10-hour electricity rationing, tuition hike. 401 Osun local government caretaker schools resign over Supreme Court judgment. Page 16. The Nation newspaper also has the details of the story that says the Senate replaces Ndume as chief whip. The writer to that one says the APC asks senator to quit. Page 6 of the Nation newspaper says the court reinstates Shaibu as Edo deputy governor. Still on page 6, George Okey's Ighodalo's candidacy in Edo. Varsity students shun hostels over fear of bandit attack, says VC, the VC of which school. The details of that story is on page 26 of the Nation newspaper today. Tinubu kicks off payment of 32 billion naira to students as loans. Three writers to that story on the front page of the Nation. The first one says 103,000 applicants successful. North institution ahead. Another one says it is a new dawn, says Nance. Nigerian Tribune newspaper has quite a lot of stories this morning. And the first one says Labour's demand for new national minimum wage justified. That is coming from PDP governors. Two writers to that story. The first one says back Fubara on Rivers crisis. Another one says a warn on local government autonomy implementation. Reps receive a bill seeking 6-year single term for president. Others. That one is on page 8. And I think it is a developing story. It's been in the news before. Why local oil price will continue to increase. Wow. That one is coming from Dangote. The writer to the story says, commends NUPRC for publishing domestic crude supply obligation guideline. Page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper has the details to that story. We have this one coming from Methodist bishops and Islamic clerics to federal government saying hardship may lead to chaos, anarchy. That one is on page 8. On page 9, for attacking Tinubu, APC sacks Ndume as Senate chief whip. All right, we have a couple of other stories this morning, and of course, we'll be touching on the ones, some of them, because we have limited time and it's sad we cannot just talk about everything. I have Maestro in the studio with me this morning. Good morning, Maestro, and you're welcome to the studio.
Good morning. It's my pleasure.
All right, then we're back again to talk about our great nation, Nigeria. I mean, Nigeria, Yitibubuani.
Yeah, that's true. It belongs to all of us.
Exactly. So we're back again. I'd like us to pick it up from the issue of the hardship. We have religious leaders calling on the federal government to please find something to do about the hardship in the land, because this issue of hardship we've been talking about, it's been recurrent in the news. We've been having it. It's not even new.
What are religious leaders doing in their congregations?
What are they doing?
You see, only yesterday, the Olufi of Bongo, also replicated what the Oni of Ife did in Ife markets.
In markets.
So what are the religious leaders? Who are these religious leaders? What are they doing in their own folds? You know, taking a lot of money from your congregation and, you know, others sucking whatever they could away from the wealthy. And then they come back, after worsening the situation, they come back to stay on their podium to be calling on, you know, they are leaders in their own right. And a sizable chunk of the economy flows around them in their quarters. Some of them have private jets. Yes, some of them have private jets.
Religious leaders.
Yes, you need to see the kind of houses some of them live in. So, but every time it's convenient to pick the mic and then you relinquish your leadership position at that time and accept that only the politician is the only leader in town. So they are the worst. We understand the politicians are the worst culprits because they occupy those positions. And that's why we have been at them for a long time. That, look, you are the ones who campaigned. You are the ones who said you could do it. You are the ones occupying the offices now. Do something. People are hungry. You know, but it's always irritating to see, you know, leaders in different rights coming out to say, oh, government, you have to do something. Do you know how much traditional rulers collect from local governments? No, I'm asking you, do you have a fair idea? There's a lot of money.
Wow. And what are they doing with it?
Yes, it's from the local government funds that traditional rulers are paid. Apart from that, they are still going to lord it over in terms of lands. And have most of them make a lot of money from it. But when it's convenient, you come out and say, oh, politicians. And it's the politician that will put you in office. And then you, in turn, will be serving the politicians throughout his term. You have those exchanges. I saw a clip yesterday. What are we doing to one another? Yesterday, in Kwara State, somewhere in Kwara State, a woman was selling Gary.
I saw that video.
Lower than what, and they started fighting her.
Exactly, I saw it. That is what we do to ourselves.
Is that government? Is that government? You see, we should be able to separate these things. You see, the reality is, what we do to one another is almost as horrible as what government does to us. The problem is, there's a lot of incompetence in governance in this country. And there's a lot of selfishness. There's a lot of corruption. Yes. And we talk about that and we now pretend that, you know, this thing does not, the flip side of the coin is not, you know, you and I staying there. And then we are the ones who will go and show the entire world how soft we are. Okay, you can just reduce the quality of the shoes. You know, don't let the leather be too tan. And you bring it back to your country to sell to your people. And after a while, you say you are not happy with what is happening in government. So, yes, we should separate these things very carefully, especially when some people should be making different calls. You know, I expect leaders across board today to be harnessing energy in this country at this point that we should
restructure.
Turn the thing around because that is where it's going to get better. But they are not doing that. You know, they're calling on government. For how long have we been calling on government? For how long? We've been calling on government forever now. From administration to administration. I recall when they were going to make a certain change in this country, you know, at the presidency, they wanted one president out, they wanted another one in. It was religious leaders who stood behind a particular candidate. And we were saying, where are you coming from? The history of this candidate does not warrant this thing. They stood behind the candidate. And then when the candidate started the wreckage, they went quiet. Everybody went quiet. So now, what should you do as a leader? You know, because in some rights, we are leaders. It's not just religious. It's not just traditional. It's not just the politician. You know, what is the role of even the media?
All right. In educating
so
people.
We can be calling and calling, even what we relate to the politicians. That's the egg nest for some of our people.
All right. So are you saying the religious leaders coming out together? I mean, for what it is, we will have some people saying that they are religious leaders. They somehow represent people.
They are also
and
part of the problem, is
they are
what I'm
also
saying.
part of
So
the problem.
they should call one another out now.
Mm.
Yes, while we are busy calling out the politicians one by one and saying they are wrecking the entire place, the religious leaders too should play leadership role, and then we should make the right kind of call. The painful part is, every time you want to change a society, if you understand how a society changes, it doesn't change on anybody's spittle, even if it is golden spittle. It changes by you deliberately re-engineering your society, and it takes much more than all these calls. And so, if you do not have one thing that you are going to change your country with, it's not going to change. It's going to get worse. Look, go and check your history. Every time a society is going to change, something comes. And I told you that the British, they evolved through serious bloodshed, and then they somehow managed to raise their Magna Carta, and they have been doing their own restructuring till today. The Magna Carta exists. These other folks across the oceans, they have their Marshall Plan with which they turn their country around. The French, they have their French Revolution and so on. So sometimes it comes in by blood and iron, but then we have paid that kind of due. In the Civil War, we have
paid our dues.
Yes, we have done that. Right through the military interregnum in this country, we have paid. So now we shouldn't be seeking much further bloodshed. What we should be doing is to be cerebral about our problems. It's not, look, you have a nice big dog in your compound that barks all the time. It's playing its role. So it's okay. But the dog is not intelligent enough to know how to run that home, right? But it will play its little role by barking. It's okay, fine. Let it bark. But you, who are human beings running the house, who understand, what are you doing to run the house? This is where the problem is. And then you have this confusion. We should not have any confusion. What we want to do is to run as we used to run this country when it was successful. There was a time that it was successful. For as long as you're... Okay, somebody yesterday... I don't like to, react to certain things because it's way beneath the conversation. But the point is, sometimes you have to go back there.
Okay, Maestro, sometimes we have to go back there. This conversation is actually a very serious one, and we still have to continue it. But right now, we have to go pay some bills. Please stay tuned while we go pay some bills. When we're back, we'll continue the conversation in the studio. Still on the issue of hardship in the country. We'll be back.
IPTB 88.7 FM.
I am pregnant. It is important for me to take care of myself and stay healthy.
To be strong and have a healthy pregnancy, take iron and folic acid tablets every day when you're pregnant. This prevents anemia and helps maintain a healthy pregnancy. Visit your healthcare provider for regular antenatal care. This message is from the ANRIN Project or your state's Ministry of Health.
Guys, let's go and get seats at that table with Semovita.
Sorry, this table is reserved for the bride's family.
Do you know who I am? I'm the older brother of the sister's last uncle who married their first cousin.
Everybody wants to sit at the Golden Penny Semovita table. Golden Penny Semovita remains my soup's first choice. It's made from premium wheat and fortified with vitamins and minerals to provide a wholesome bowl food that pairs well with Nigerian soups. Golden Penny Semovita, my soup's first choice.
My baby is 6 months old.
Oh my! 6 months old? Wow! Now your baby needs more than breast milk. It's time to introduce mashed meals. In addition to breast milk, begin to give your baby mashed meals that contain at least one item from each of these 5 food groups: eggs, fish or meat, fruits and vegetables, oils, beans, groundnuts, soya or millet, rice, potato, maize or yam from 6 months. In addition to breast milk, your baby needs this combination of food types to grow healthy. This message is from the ANRIN Project or your State Ministry of Health.
My son, help me check this phone. I don't know wetin Junior press. E no dey work again.
Make I see. Ah, mommy.
Wetin happen?
They don't block your line now.
Nobody like to chop blocking, no. So, if they don't block you unto say you not link your NIN to your Airtel line, run kitty go any Airtel shop with your NIN to unblock your line today.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
Welcome back in case you're just joining us. This is the Dailies right here at Akidibo 88.7 FM. And of course, you can join us on our Facebook page at Akidibo 887. That is where you get to watch us live. And apologies if you can't watch us on other places where you do watch us. So just go straight to Akidibo 887 FM. That is where we are this morning. And Maestro, before we went on that break, we were trying to talk about hardship, trying to talk about the way people talk. I mean, the news about religious leaders coming out.
So we need to make our people understand, the narrative. People are spinning different narratives. It's convenient for them. And, we evolved to the point of restructuring. Our forebears have been talking about true federalism for a very long time.
Yeah.
And they are saying this because we came from a proper federalism, to a pseudo federalism. So that's the narrative. It doesn't really matter. You can sit it out if you don't understand it and just listen. That's where we're coming from. We're coming from the regions. And I've showed you on this program how many industries were in Ibadan alone.
Before.
In Lagos alone. In Port Harcourt, in Kaduna. And those were the days of the regions when you compartmentalized and you're running as such. And so when you now decided to mess everything up and you balkanized and it's no longer working, what do you do if you don't know where you're going? Shouldn't you know where you're coming from? That's the meaning of, okay, let's have true federation. And that one evolved. The narrative evolved. The advocacy evolved to restructuring, and so if you don't get it, just listen. It's not. I mean, if I sit somewhere where they are discussing nuclear physics and so on, I might want to really sit down and just listen. Right. So that's what we are saying. On the other hand, people who are in positions of leadership should not be pretending that they are not leaders themselves.
Okay, what should religious leaders do aside from saying there is hardship in the land? Federal government, please do something. What other thing can we do?
If you don't know what to do, simply preach in your congregation and let go.
Preach what?
Preach your whatever you are preaching in your congregation.
And not talk about governance.
Yes, if you don't know what to say, because you are part of the problem. So when you take this warehouse, this massive warehouse which used to be used for business, which was a key part of the economy, and you turn it into a church, a beautiful church, and you begin to farm it. So what do you suppose is happening that time? What do you suppose is going on? And from the proceeds of that pulpit, you can get your Gulf Stream and begin to fly around the world doing your evangelism. What do you suppose is going on then? Is that production? So now, if you realize that, okay, you're a leader, you're part of the problem, you begin to make the proper call. And the proper call is, what's the solution? The solution at this moment is the call.
So religious leaders are part of the problem?
Of course, we are all part of the problem. Don't you understand? Even journalists are part of the problem. I've told you, we transited from brown envelopes to Ghana must go bags. So now in position of leadership, what is your own role? What do you call for? Because if I wake up every day and I'm calling on government to do something, what am I doing? I'm doing the same thing and getting the same result. right through different administrations. Some people call that madness. So I am saying, why is it that we don't rally behind the solution that is obvious? Okay, if some people don't even understand, which I doubt very much, I think it's born of mischief. If you don't understand restructuring, don't you understand state police? How many of them are standing up at their different leadership positions to say, let's go for state police now?
Which you think would make an impact, a huge difference?
We have broken it down. It's going to make a huge difference in our economy.
Them coming out to rally behind that.
Of course. But you can't just be picking the mic when it's convenient for you, so that you appear popular to some people, to be saying, government, do something about this thing, that you are part of the problem. As we are speaking, they are still taking money away from poor people. Yes, across all the religions. These people are still, they don't know where to get the next meal. They will still go and pay money to God.
Through these religious leaders.
Yes. So, and they are building schools that the poor in their congregations cannot attend. So what are we saying now? So everything I know about this ideal is he had a great compassion on the people, and he had a great compassion on the multitude, and he gave them fish, and he gave them bread, and he gave them this, and he fed them with the words of the Spirit, and so on and so forth. Today is perpetual taking from the same multitude. So how am I going to feel comfortable when you come and say, government, do something?
A second, Maestro.
It's 7 a.m. on Agidigbo 88.7 FM.
Right, we're back.
So I'm absolutely uncomfortable with that. Having said that, this administration is too slow in responding to the problems that are on the streets of this country.
Okay.
That's sure. People are hungry. 20 trucks of whatever is not enough. So what should we do now? Do you want to even draft people? Do something. Draft people to the farms already, to the farm areas. Are we going to block the routes already that these people are taking to sack the farms? What do you want to do? I'm not hearing stopgap, fast, moves that could take care of something. What we are experiencing right now is providence. The rains are now, happening, and some prices are crashing. It's not the doing of government.
It is not the doing of government.
So government has to
the little changes we are seeing
its own. And you see, when I go government, I'm not going just federal government. I'm going government entirely. I'm going state government. I'm going, legislature. Because some people are having it cool. Since they, won elections, they are sitting coolly, going from. Nobody is harassing them. Nobody is asking them, what is your role, Mr. Lawmaker, State House of Assembly? What are you doing? You are just
representing us.
Gleefully looking good and everything is fine. Mr. Governor, what is your portion in all this? Across the states. Because it is puerile for you to wake up every morning. Then we now ask Mr. President, why are these goalposts shifting? Refinery, we are going to come yesterday. We'll come day before yesterday. All right, we are coming in August.
We are coming next year.
So it just keeps rolling on. Yes, there are a lot of questions to ask everybody. But sometimes what gets my goat immediately is who is asking, who is calling.
Where is it coming from?
That's very important. And how clean are you?
Are you in position to even say that?
You are in a position of leadership, and you're an Oba that is busy, rabble-rousing in every direction, just looking for a fight everywhere. In a leadership position, is an Oba, simply feeding from wherever you didn't sow. Yet you will not be calm in that position. You're going to be looking for problems, religious problems all the time. That's leadership position you are wasting. While some Obas are saying, look, in this market, behave. Some people are using that position intelligently.
So if we have other people doing it that way,
why don't we begin to exercise leadership everywhere? So if we do that in all our little spaces, we will now face the government, whether it is federal we are facing or state or the legislature and everything. Because look, they collectively, we call them government. So if you are giving the kind of judgment in the judicial arm that is really suspect, we simply talk and roll on over that. If the legislature is weak, we simply, crack a few jokes over that and go. And then we want the problems to solve. But it cannot solve like that. We have to understand this thing in holistic terms.
All right. Talking about people coming out to talk about the state of the nation, the hunger in the land, what is going on, and also hardship. We had in Dume, he came out, I think the news was last week or earlier this week, saying Nigerians are hungry. And yes, we have some people attacking them, saying that shouldn't come from you. Some people are saying, yes, that is good. Say you're speaking our mind. Let the government know what is happening. Yesterday at the House of Assembly, Indume was sacked as the Senate chief whip over what he said. And he was even advised to withdraw and resign as an APC member. What did Indume say that caused all this? Let us listen to what Indume said. This is just an insert of what really happened that brought about Indume being asked to leave the APC and also being sacked as the chief whip. I think they gave him something in tourism now. They say, see, you can just go there. Over what? What did he say about the government of this day? What did he say about President Tinubu? We're going to listen to that now, and when we're back, we'll discuss that fully. Because I think it was on the television program where he said something like that. In case you're listening to us via radio, you can come to our Facebook page right now to also watch Indume as he was speaking on a TV show, saying what he said about the government.
You are aware that people are very angry out there. Are you doing something about it? And the response is that yes, we are aware it's the work of opposition. I say we are finished. Because no opposition would want to bring down the roof of the country on itself. Because they are in the country. So if the country collapses, is it only going to collapse on the ruling or the governing party? No. So when people in power start responding like that, then I'm worried. I'm worried for this president. I'm worried for myself. Well, there's problem out there. A bag of rice is now selling for 100,000. A bag of maize is selling for 100,000. My wife was telling me that a basket of tomato is about 100,000 too. Onions. Every food is going up the price. Inflation is 40%. The value of an naira is going down. And then, not only that, when you tell people in government that, hey, people are hungry, angry, and they are preparing, or there are signs that they will revolt, you say, no, don't worry about them. That is very, very dangerous. And I hope this will be, to me, God will exonerate me because I told them. And many Nigerians today told me and encouraged me to come for this year program, speak out on our behalf. And that's why I was elected. If the government doesn't do anything,
that is what we had in Dume last week. Maestro, where is the problem?
We talked
is it
about
because
it,
coming out to talk, or is it because he is from APC? What is the problem?
We talked about it last week. I think we already knew what he said. We discussed it on the program.
Yes.
But in any case, the point is, he is a politician and he's playing his politics. And for people who have insight, I said it that day.
Yes.
You know, who is talking to me?
Matters.
And what is he saying? Is the same thing that you're talking about religious leaders this morning. I separate the two. So the call itself is valid. But who is making the call? Are you part of the problem or not? Here is somebody saying they to people who are in the executive arm of government. They call where he operates 3 arms zone. 3 arms zone, representing the 3 arms of government. And he occupies one of those 3 as the chief whip. And he's still hypocritically saying they.
So that is hypocritical.
So, yes, it is hypocritical because he's also in government. He's part of the day. Am I now is he part of where I stand? Do I have in-laws serving in the CBN? Do I have daughters in the CBN? Do I have a problem with how they are running the CBN? He's the one who has a problem with that. He's the one who forever wanted to be a Senate president and he couldn't get it because he doesn't know how to play his politics. So they are doing their political thing and it doesn't really, concern me. What irks me is that they want us to also swallow this one. As you're speaking for the people, you have been collecting the jumbo pay for how many years? For as long as the National Assembly has been in place. Since 1999, Aline Dume has been there.
Since 1999.
For whatever they have been collecting, he has collected. For whatever they have been benefiting, he's benefited. Now he wants to come simply on, 20-something odd years later to talk to somebody like me that I know his story. That, okay, you are now shouting for the poor people of this country.
Okay.
But you are not acting for the people of this.
He's not acting.
Your job is legislation. What have you done in legislating? You see, go and check how active the legislature of the United States of America. Go and do, not this crop who are just messing around the entire place. But go and look at their history, how they evolved in time, how powerful that institution is, and how they call across Congress, how they call their politicians to question and they hold them accountable. Which one has he done? So you're occupying that and in any case, they took what they gave him.
So he deserved what he got.
They took what, I don't know. I don't care about them. But they took what they gave him. He didn't give himself the chief whip, did he? It was inside a team. It's their team.
He's in their team.
That is the team. So
the team is criticizing.
So you play teamwork. If you are not doing teamwork, you get kicked out. It's as simple. That's reality. And in politics, there is no morality.
Wow.
So if you want to moralize, it shows immediately you are not a politician. Set aside. That's the point. Let me tell you some other thing. You see, in that place, they are beginning to cook how to oust one another. Some people, bystanders, will not understand what's going on. But if you understand even the simple politics of Nigeria, you will know that they are trying to eat out the ruling party from the inside and then begin to... That's the same formula APC used. It was Tambuwal who was sitting on top of the House of Representatives when they began the eating of the PDP from the inside. You understand? And they were chopping the PDP from the inside. They were gutting the PDP from the inside. They did not leave. They sat there and sucked life out of the PDP.
From inside out.
And they were busy putting together the amalgam called APC. So, when they were good and ready was when they struck. By the time PDP was going to check, the liver was gone, the heart was gone, everything was gone. So it's the same game you are looking at, but it's okay for someone to be as simplistic as, okay, it's championing our cause. The problem with such people championing your cause is now you see them, now you don't. Because it is when it's convenient for him that he's making this call.
It all started from the fact that he doesn't see the president.
And what's his business seeing the president? Is he friends with the president?
To give him advice.
In any case, it's useless because he's talking about, oh, the president was accessible.
Now he's no longer accessible.
In body loan. He's no longer accessible in... Does he have, garrison command in body loan? Does he have the soldiers? Does he have all this security system in body loan? Imagine somebody just waking up to say, I can't see the president. So you can't see the president, so what? But what's your job? You're a legislature. you are in the legislature, go and do what legislators do. Then that's where I want to relate to you.
Okay, Maestro, are you saying that we cannot bring in the angle of freedom of speech in this conversation now? Regarding what Ndume did and what he got.
Where is freedom of speech between you and I when we have a deal? And then you now go out against the deal. So would the deal continue? When you belong to a political party, especially the hierarchy of that political party, and then you begin to piss in the pot, and you expect them to close their eyes to say, okay, we will still be eating this soup. You know, it's one of us who is pissing in our pot. It doesn't happen like that, even in real life. So you cannot belong and then be the opposition. Now, if you are doing intra-opposition, maybe that will make sense because it's still among you. And if you are telling your colleagues, look, this president is inaccessible, we have to do something and so on. But the moment you go on air
and say things like that,
to broadcast that, you look at the words, this thing is collapsing on us. This thing is tearing apart.
And those in government.
And those.
Yes.
You already drew a line between you and your colleagues. So I don't see anything wrong in kicking you out from their midst. Don't forget, these people are from their constituencies. You vote in just one senatorial constituency. One, you win the vote, and then you come to the Senate. That is the real you. No chief whip, no Senate president, no nothing. It's when you got there that they now thought, okay, you, as a prominent one among us, take a leader, Senate leader, take chief whip, take this and that.
Okay.
So whatever you are not doing right, they also reserve the right to take it away from you.
Maestro, I want us to look at this from this angle. Is what they did to Ndume not trying to sound as a message to other people that are not even, maybe not even in government? We had a report concerning journalist abduction under this administration, trying to relate it to what happened under the military regime.
I've been speaking against government forever till today. So when it was military government, we faced a few things. Even civilian, we also faced a few things. You know, I cannot be going into all that. But what have I been saying here that I'm sitting down here? You know, this government, this administration, this is what I believe, this is what I believe. So I can only talk to you about my personal experience. I don't see any policeman coming to arrest me. I don't see whatever they are taking from me. So any journalist in this Ibadan that they have come to arrest, then they will hear from us for saying government has done wrong or government is not doing enough. That's another matter. Then you say...
Maestro, before we move on, please help me hold on to that thought because this conversation is not ending yet. Well, let's go pay some bills and when we're back, we'll continue the conversation concerning freedom of speech under this administration. You having the right to say, oh, this is what is going on. Aside from the people that are the hems of affairs, are talking about those in government themselves. We'll be back in a jiffy.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
ọmọ mi ti pọ̀ṣù mẹ́fà ẹ bá mi dúpẹ́ oṣù mẹ́fà ẹ bá mi dúpẹ́.
ó ti yẹ pọ̀ṣù mẹ́fà nìyẹn. ọmọ ò máa ń pẹ́ dàgbà o. báyìí o ọmọ rẹ ti wá nílò ju omi ọyàn nìkan lọ o. àkókò ti tó láti máa fún un ní oúnjẹ fífọ́ ní àfikún sí ọyàn. rí i dájú pé àwọn oúnjẹ ọmọ rẹ ní ó kéré tán ọ̀kan lára àwọn oúnjẹ àfọ́pọ̀ márùn-ún wọ̀nyí: ẹyin, ẹja tàbí ẹran, èso àti ewébẹ̀, epo tàbí òróró, ẹ̀wà, ẹ̀pà tàbí sóyà, ìrẹsì, ọ̀dùnkún, àgbàdo tàbí iṣu. ọmọ rẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti oṣù mẹ́fà nílò omi ọyàn àtàwọn oúnjẹ wọ̀nyí fún ìdàgbàsókè àti ìlera. Máa fún wọn lọ́yàn títí yóò fi pé ọmọ ọdún 2 àti jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ.
Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkànṣe ANRIN, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
My country people, mama, papa and pikin, make una listen o. Cholera full town o, but make you no fear. Cholera na disease wey you fit prevent with better hygiene practice for your home. Just dey disinfect your floors, clothes and every corner for your yard with hypo bleach. And no forget to dey clean your toilets with hypo toilet cleaner. This way, you go protect your family and stop the spread of cholera.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi
راجعون. Ultimate Funeral Undertakers commiserate with the families of Agbaje and Akonde on the demise of a wonderful woman, Mrs. Rashidat Bolanle Agbaje ni Akonde, who left this world yesterday, 17th July 2024, aged 76. On Thursday, 18th July 2024, Ultimate Funeral Undertakers will convey her body from Bethel Hospital, Ibadan, to Ultimate Gardens, Sanyo, Ibadan, for Janaza. Time 12 p.m. Interment follows immediately at Ultimate Gardens, Sanyo, Ibadan. She is survived by her caring children, grandchildren, and family members. Ultimate Funeral Undertakers pray that may Allah grant Mrs. Rashidat Bolanle Agbaje Aljana Firdaus.
Unforgettable.
Ó yá gbà ọmọ mi ọ̀wọ́n.
Mami, ẹ fi mílìkì sí ni.
Kò di dandan ìwọ tó wò ná.
Báwo lẹ ṣe ṣe?
Ǹjẹ́ mílìkì inú ẹ̀ péye?
Ní gidi gan.
Ṣé ọ̀rá wàrà náà ṣàn tó?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy nìyẹn o. Mílìkì inú ẹ̀ péye. Mi ò nílò láti ṣàfikún mílìkì sí i.
Mo nífẹ̀ẹ́ rẹ̀ màámi.
Fún àwọn ọmọ rẹ ní Milo 3-in-1 milky àti creamy tuntun, mílìkì inú ẹ̀ péye, ó kún fún káṣíọ̀mù láti ran àwọn ọmọ rẹ lọ́wọ́ láti yege lójoojúmọ́. Milo, agbára láti tẹ̀síwájú.
Milo! I am pregnant. It is important for me to take care of myself and stay healthy.
To be strong and have a healthy pregnancy, take iron and folic acid tablets every day when you're pregnant. This prevents anemia and helps maintain a healthy pregnancy. Visit your healthcare provider for regular antenatal care. This message is from the ANRIN Project or your State Ministry of Health.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
All right, we are back, and before we went on that break, we were discussing hardship in the land and people coming to talk about it, and also we try to relate it with the fact that is there actually freedom of speech where we talk about the hardship in the land, because we have some people saying what happened to Indume. As much as we have some people saying, oh, it's also part of the government, we also have some people saying, but then there is freedom of speech.
It depends on how you understand issues. You know, a lot of these things must be based on your understanding of issues. What's the problem with freedom of speech? When people begin to raise the issue of freedom of speech, because Ndume said something, I'm now going to be championing freedom of speech for Ndume, Senator Ndume, Senator Aline Ndume.
Who's been there since 1999.
Okay, so that's the person I'll be championing the cause of freedom of speech for. And okay, you can do that when you have the time. The other thing is, because you see, when we talk about issues of freedom of speech in this country was when we were arrested for talking.
Arrested for talking.
And beaten up and so on. So people who are just flowing in today now talking about freedom of speech, they don't even know half of it. So let's just leave people to enjoy their fantasy. If taking Chief Whip away from Aline Ndume is expressing something against freedom of speech, okay. But I will not be fighting the cause of Ndume over freedom of speech. Especially when he pointedly is working against his own team. So, and they didn't take him away from the Senate. Do you know what? If they had suspended him, I probably would have been a little bit worried. I'm not saying kick him out of the Senate, but if they had suspended him, because they did not give him the Senate.
Okay.
His constituents gave him the Senate.
They voted him.
He said, go and represent us as our senator in that place. So, that's his job.
For principal officer.
Everything else he got when he got there. He didn't bring that from his senatorial constituency. So if the people who gave him now said, the reasons we gave you this position, you have taken away the reasons from us. So we are also taking away the thing we gave you. What is my own there? Is that my problem right now? So my problem is to make people understand that whatever he is saying because of his selfish reasons. But he's making the right call because it is true that hunger stalks the land in Nigeria, that people are hungry in Nigeria. That is the truth. That is the part that concerns me.
Mm.
Whether you want to say they have taken the rights of Ndume away because he can now no longer talk freely, I would leave other people to do that.
All right, then. Let us move away from the issue of Ndume and come down to the education sector. Yesterday, we had the University of Ibadan students coming out to protest, saying, please, the hike in fee is too much. It is killing us because we have some people paying. I mean, let me say, for example, when I was there, the last payment I made, that I can say, okay, this is huge, was 27,650 as a final year student. Now we are having some people paying 200,000 naira, as much as 300,000 naira, according to the students, which they say it is too much for, in quote, a federal university. The price, and so they came out to say enough is enough. And also other things, one of the things they also they were fighting for was the issue of electricity supply, saying they now have to maintain a 10-hour supply in the school. University of Ibadan used to be known for, I mean, when you enter University of Ibadan, anytime, any day, you find electricity there. So now they're saying 10 hours. So those are part of the things they came out to discuss. And also a news that is somewhat like that is in Osun State, where we have the governor promising to fast-track actions on student welfare. So by that, let us go into education sector in Nigeria.
Let me first talk about the University of Ibadan. That I'm very familiar with because I covered a lot of events in that place, a lot of happenings. In those days, quite familiar with the frequency of protests in that place. So I'm even surprised that
they came out.
No, I'm not surprised that they came out. I'm surprised that it got that much before
they talked.
Because it was a zero tolerance before for all these things. But I also understand that the body of students everywhere are now also beginning to realize that some of these protests are only serving the interests of student union leaders. So people are weary because you see student union leaders across Nigeria now, they are, bodies with the politicians. They ride supercars. They have money. So sometimes you even see, a student leader who is almost looking like a grandfather already, but remaining in that system and not leaving.
Wow.
Because of what is benefiting. Do you remember the one that promised President Buhari about 150 million votes?
Yes, during the election.
He was a student union leader. So people grew weary. But in those days, you only needed to whistle. And then your students, your colleagues will be.
I think this changed during the era of, I think, Ojo Aderemi. Yes, the guy that got into a court case with the school concerning protests. What happened? I think that was the time they drew back concerning protests.
Not necessarily. A lot of things. We will be responsible for that. Part of it was also courtism because the courtists were also there in those years and everything. There are a lot of reasons actually, but the key point is this is the right kind of protest.
Okay.
And it should be listened to because I don't pretend not to understand the plight of the authorities because you see the naira just going down, the dollar rising, and everything is connected. You see the pump price going up and everything. So these things would essentially affect supplies everywhere. And you have to do something about it. So if you were doing like 20 hours before, you cannot continue doing 20 hours. Otherwise, you still have to meet it. And you can't take more money from students. If you take more money from students, so it's a no-win situation for almost all of us.
How about the tuition?
Yes, that's also where we want to nest and say, essentially this does not have to increase because it's coming from somewhere, right? Who is giving you the tutorials? Who is teaching you? And that's where we say, okay, at least, because this one is, but you run yourself, don't you?
It is a federal university.
It is a federal university. What situation is the federal government in today? You see, that is why I say people are not even leveling up with the people of this country. You know, we don't have a specific figure of our debt. We don't know for a fact how much we are owing. Because if you go to DMO and you go and look at the stats there, it gives you one thing. If you conduct your research in another direction, you get another figure. Oh, they will now tell you, okay, the ones owed internally is this much. The ones owed foreign concerns is this much. So if people at least who are fairly educated will understand that, you know, before we even started this run, we were gone. Maybe there will be a little bit of understanding. But the worst part of it is, apart from not leveling or not doing enough in the direction of media works, what policies are you even pursuing to ensure in the long run there will be some ease? Okay, they threw in this loan for students and so on.
Yes.
Which is not bad. But have we started feeling it? We've not started feeling it. I heard you this morning reading out something in that regard.
32 billion naira to students as loans.
So let's feel it first. Let the money register with students here and there. They said they are going to start with federal, tertiary institutions, right? We are not feeling it yet. Now, if the money comes down and some students at least get it, we will say, okay, we have started doing something.
Is that supposed to make up for paying 300,000 naira in a federal university?
You're going to spend the money.
It is a loan.
It's not for you to put it in your pocket and go and enjoy life. It's a loan for that thing that you've come to school to do. So I don't know how maybe they are going to, face tuition with it. Maybe they are going to do some other things, but let them even pay it first. Before we start arguing over what use it will go to, let the money come down. We don't see it yet. Because I'm sure if it comes down, it will ease the pain of some students to start with. Then we can begin to talk about, how far it's gone, how much further it could go. But we don't even see anything.
All right, then. The protest news is actually still a developing story because we've not heard from the part of the school authority. We don't know what is going to come
they
out
always
as a
come
response.
to a resolution.
Always.
So something would.
Okay, then. Let us go listen to this. Of course, it's about time we open the phone lines right now. But, our utterances, our contributions have to be guarded.